All right, before we get into the video, I got a message off a long-term subscriber, Adam. He's just started his own channel. Have a look there on screen. The channel is called Life Hub Coaching Podcast, or Life Hub Coaching Podcast. It is definitely worth a watch. I highly recommend you go over there and give it a look. I'm happy to name, promote any channel. It doesn't have to be boxing. Whatever reach I can have, whatever help I can give, just ask, and I'm happy to promote that. No questions asked. Long-term subscriber, especially, doubly happy to promote that. I'm going to leave a link to the channel in the description. I'm also going to pin it in the comments section. Go over, give it a watch, give it a subscribe, give him a like, all that good stuff. Let's help get the ball rolling on his channel. And also, I might even see if I can get his Twitter handle. I'll pop that in the comment section as well. So please go over there, give him a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Happy to name a channel, happy to help a channel out. Doesn't have to be boxing, it can be anything. Hope you enjoyed his content, and I hope you enjoy my content, which is, the main video. Well, let's get into it. Yesterday I did a video on Deontay Wilder versus Jared Anderson that Turki Al-Sheikh is targeting for the undercard of Crawford Majimov on August the 3rd. As if that card needed any more good fights. And that's not a complaint, by the way. I'm just saying. That's a stacked card. That's a brilliant card. And we could be talking about Wilder versus Jared Anderson on it. There's a few things I want to talk about, and I want to kind of dig a bit. That was more so just kind of talk about the news, giving a little bit of a 2 cent. This is probably going to be more kind of having I don't want to say deeper look into it. Maybe I'm looking for nothing. Maybe it might not even happen, regardless what happens to Deontay Wilder against Zhilei Zhang. But Turki Al-Sheikh has seemed, how would I explain it? He seemed to always think a step ahead, if that makes sense. Despite the fact that boxing, I always say if is a very big word in boxing. It's like, you could say, right, okay, if Joshua beats Otto Wallin and if Wilder beats Joseph Parker, then they fight in March. And it's like, yeah, if. There's no guarantee either guy comes through unscathed. In fact, I was saying at the time in the lead up to the fight, although I picked both Joshua and Wilder to win, I wouldn't be shocked if one of them got upset. Alright, and I always said that I thought that most likely it would be Deontay Wilder, because I thought that was a more competitive fight on paper, and it was, and obviously he did lose. I didn't pick him to lose, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one to take an L. That's where the upset comes from. So you can plan ahead in boxing, but you do it, especially in the heavyweight division, more so than, say, at welterweight. If you took, we'll say, Terence Crawford and Boots Ennis, and, obviously Crawford is fighting Majimov, and let's say Ennis fights his mandatory, and you say, right, you both get through your respective fighters, or your respective fights, use me in November, December. You'd have much more confidence in the welterweight division because the skill gap is so much bigger, and these guys, they can't knock each other's lights out with one shot, for the most part anyway, but there is a big skill gap, whereas a heavyweight, you plan ahead, at your own risk. And how many times have we seen it? Dylan White, all we ever heard from him in summer 2020 was that he was trying to push for his mandatory shot in 2021, who was obviously going to be against Tyson Fury, and he was doing this, talking about going legal down the road, legal action with the WBC, all this, that, and the other. And he was doing this in the run-up to his fight with Povetkin. I remember at the time saying, it's like, mate, focus on Alexander Povetkin, because it's not like you're fighting a journeyman. Yeah, it's a Povetkin who's seen better days, but it's not like you're facing a journeyman who doesn't really bring out the table, who you'll just dispatch of. You're facing a very, very good fighter. Be careful, focus on him, and then, once that job's out of the way, then worry about Tyson Fury. And we all know what happened. Dylan White did eventually get his shot. He had to wait nearly 2 years for it. He had to wait until 2022 as opposed to 21. And he had to come back and beat Povetkin in a rematch. And then pretty much sit out the next year before he got his title shot. So you never want to look ahead in boxing, certainly in the heavyweight division. Turki Al-Sheikh's been doing that. So before Deontay Wilder has even fought Zhilei Zhang, he's talking about the potential of Deontay Wilder fighting Jared Anderson. He's also putting Wilder's name in the hat as one of the potential opponents to fight Anthony Joshua in September. Now, for me, if and again, it's a big if, Wilder beats Zhang, I would be baffled if they did Anderson versus Wilder. I'd be absolutely, I just couldn't envision that. At that moment, depending on the nature of the win, if he goes in there and he ices Zhilei Zhang in a couple of rounds, and he looks somewhat like the Wilder of old. Just in every aspect, if you're trying to maximize revenue, if you're trying to make a big pay-per-view extravaganza, having that Wilder versus Joshua as the main event in Wembley Stadium would just be a no-brainer. And I think that that's the most likely to really fill it out, or fill it out quickly. And that would be the most appealing to the casuals. They'd be like, oh, Deontay Wilder against Joshua? And that, Wilder's highlight reel knockouts, they get shown a lot. When he gets a highlight reel knockout, you see it over and over and over again. So it appeals to the casual audience. I couldn't envision a scenario in which Wilder beats Zhilei Zhang, knocks him, maybe spark out, and then is fighting Anderson next. You'd think of that as a demotion. You really would. I know you might say, well, he's going to get well paid either way, but you would kind of look at it as that. You'd look at Joshua kind of like, okay, stylistically, I might have a chance there. Joshua is still fresh, but he's not as sprightly and as youthful as Jared Anderson. And at the end of the day, I could lose to Joshua. If I want to come back, maybe. But if you lose to Anderson, who's kind of just coming out of the prospect stage, that really is the end of it. It might be the end of it if you lose to Joshua, but it's definitely the end of it if you lose to Jared Anderson. Now, why is Turki Al Sheikh talking about that? Why is he talking about the potential of this? For me, I really do think he is looking at Deontay Wilder like, you're done. You're finished. That to me is almost how Turki Al... I'm only assuming... I don't know that for a fact, but the fact that Turki Al Sheikh is talking about Wilder going in there against Jared Anderson when Anthony Joshua is there in September and all he has to do is beat Zhilei Zhang, it kind of says to me that he doesn't envision a scenario in which Deontay Wilder beats Zhilei Zhang. And that, I said in my video yesterday, that he is maybe looking for a star to come out of America in the heavyweight division that he could also, have on some of those Saudi kind of shows in Saudi Arabia, is one of the best way to call them, and some of those shows that, what do you call them? They're kind of Saudi shows in the States. Let's just call it. I don't know what else you call it. You say boxing shows, but these are not your typical shows. And I guess that's what he's trying to do. He has Fury Usyk in the UK. He has Fury Joshua in the UK. He has Usyk for a kind of Eastern European market. In America, who does he really have? He doesn't really... I'm sure he's looking at Anderson thinking, yeah, you're one for the future. He's very talented, is Jared Anderson. Very, very talented fighter. And I get the impression he's looking at him thinking, you could be my guy this side of the pond for the next 7-8 years. Because I think he could have a career that goes that long. I know he's talked about retiring early, but, if you're getting that Saudi money for a couple of years, you're going to want to keep that coming. And that's kind of how I see it. I just... When I saw that mentioned, I was like, that is strange, considering the fact that you would think he'd want to do Joshua Wilder. You think he'd be almost pulling for Wilder to beat Zhilei Zhang in order to get that fight. And he's talking about Anderson. That to me kind of says that he doesn't perceive Deontay Wilder as being what he used to, and that he doesn't actually perceive Zhang versus Wilder as, I don't want to say competitive or a mismatch. It's not that. Certainly isn't that on paper. But I get the impression he's looking at Wilder thinking, you're not going to win this fight. That Zhilei Zhang... Because Zhilei Zhang is not a shot fighter. He's just got horrendous stamina. But he's not a shot fighter. He doesn't look like a fighter who's, on the decline, on the way out. He actually, for 40, he's quite fresh. But he just has really poor stamina. And if he can address that, well, then we got a problem. A big problem, because he's so powerful. I'm sure he's looking at that, Turki Al Sheikh, and thinking, yeah, Wilder's not getting through him, and I need to get a star. So in the US, a heavyweight star. So there you go, Jared Anderson, Deontay Wilder. Anderson beats him. There's my new star, and they could probably do that. But they get away with it on pay-per-view? Probably not. To be honest with you, probably not on pay-per-view. Certainly, if Wilder's coming out the back of 2 back-to-back losses, probably not. But it will definitely shoot his name more into the lights than it is. Certainly will. So that's my thoughts on it. It's just an interesting one. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this, because again, it's just, if you have the potential to make Wilder Joshua, and all Wilder has to do for the second chance is to get the win, beat the guy that's in front of him, surely you'd be planning ahead towards that. You'd be looking and thinking, that's what I want to do. Because again, it's the biggest fight out of the 4 names. Zhang, Hrgovic, Dubois. Wilder's the biggest name to fight Anthony Joshua out of the 4, and there's no... Sorry if you heard a horn beeping out there. Someone driving up the road, I don't know why they're beeping at, but yeah, that's the biggest name out of them. So I don't know. I get the impression Turkey Al Sheikh just probably looks at Wilder and thinks you're done. And if you're done, do me a favor on the way out. Fight Jared Anderson and help me get a future star. That's kind of what I'm thinking there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It would be interesting to know what you guys think on it. Yeah, leave it there. Let me know. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.